how's the success going with the new record? What's it? Angels hung in the arcs of heaven.
Yeah, angels hung from the arches of heaven. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's going good. Everything's going fantastic. We get
awesome.
ready. I think we get ready to do some shows in Louisiana and Florida in the beginning of January. Then we go to Europe, January and February. So everything's going great, and hopefully later next year we'll get to Canada and hang out.
Yes. Well, usually I just cross the border, go to Detroit. It's closer.
Yeah, it's crazy because we haven't played Detroit in like forever. Like it's
Uh,
been a long time since we played Detroit. So we might make it to Canada before we make it to Detroit, the way things are going.
yeah. Well, lately I've been going to Toronto for shows. It's a bit of a drive for me. It's about 3-ish hours, but Detroit's like less than an hour. But like I just saw Goatwhore in Toronto like 3 weeks ago. I caught them like their second last stop. And they always, you know how they always do it. They're like they put 110% in everything they do. So,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
what's one song off the new record that really like gets you really gets you like in the feels and like get like really means a lot to you? Because I know you kind of started this record right when COVID was either just started or right before. So I know you're sitting on it for a while.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint one because there was so much. How can I say this? There was a lot of shit going on when I was writing this record, and there's a lot of songs on this new record that I was going through some very hard times while I was writing them. So it's hard to pinpoint one because there's a lot of like really, the feeling of just isolation and not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring and other things I was going through at the time. Just it's really hard to to pinpoint one. But if I had to pick one, I would probably say the last song on the record, "I Was Born from the Wound of Perdition," was definitely. I definitely clearly remember writing that song and not going through a very good time at all.
Yeah.
But we persevere. I'm not one that's going to lay over and die very easily. So well, how can I say this? A very wise man told me once that dark times equal good riffs.
Hey man,
So
that's a good saying. That's a good
yeah,
quote. Put that on the tombstone.
yeah, man, that's not a bad idea.
No, no. I did hear, and I think you did an interview or something that the song you just said, the last song, that was supposed to be a ritual killer song, right? Or you wrote that as if something like that.
No, that wasn't a Ritual Killer song. I
Okay.
was actually going to start a new project with the singer for Ritual Killer.
Hmm.
And we were I was just getting ideas together for that project, and seeing what direction we were going to go in and whatever. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I had that song just kicking around, and I just kept picking at it and fucking with it and just trying to get it to where I wanted it and see where it would take me. And the rest of the guys from Goatwhore were listening to some demos or something at my house of some of the newer material I was working on at the time. And they were like, "What's that song?" And I had it listed as some weird name or something. And they're like, "Oh, that's just something I was fucking with. And you want to hear it? I'll let you hear it." And I put it on, and they listened to it. And they were like, "Dude, we got to use that song. We have to use it." I was like, "All right, well, let's use it then." It's just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome, man. No, I love that track, and the whole album really. I was checking it out. Literally the day it came out, I was at work and I was like, put the AirPods in. I was like, screw today. This is probably the highlight of my day. New Goatwhore. Let's fucking kill this.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Would you say this is like your like darkest record to date?
It's definitely up there in
Yeah.
in the darkest as far as our darkest records as a whole. Because each album has that little area where it goes real dark.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like the album as a whole, yes, I would definitely say this is definitely our darkest record. Yes, without a doubt. Now that I think about it, yeah, because some of the other records have that kind of, for lack of a better term, have those party songs, that just make you want to drink whiskey and get in fights.
Right.
This one doesn't really have so much of that vibe in the record. It's more just evil and darkness and just,
Mm-hmm.
there's a it, I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but there's like a very big sense of sadness in this record more than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
More a very depressed kind of vibe in there that I can't really pinpoint. I guess that was just of how shit was coming out during that whole time when I was writing it. To where there was a very uncertain future during that time.
A very unknown future, like for like a solid 2 years, really.
Yeah,
Nobody knew what to do, and like all you could do if you're like if you're a musician was to just write music, and you couldn't perform it, and it was the weirdest thing because like you always knew before, like, oh well, why don't we play a show on this day and we'll book this show, and now it's just like, well, we can't even do that. It's like, oh, like basically illegal to play in front of like anybody.
yeah, man. It was it was a very bad time. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way. Because one of the only things that make me truly happy in this life is playing music in front of people,
Yeah.
and that was just yanked away from me, just out of nowhere. And there was there was like no light at the end of the tunnel for a very long time, and that kind of really fucked with me a lot because getting something taken away from you that you love so much, will
Yeah,
definitely fuck with your head.
100%. Took the freedom and everything, but we're like, we're back, coming back at it. Goatwhore's playing new shows soon. I can't wait to go. It's gonna be awesome, man. And I was stoked to hear that you were playing with was it an Acid Bath tribute band?
Yes, yeah, we
Yeah.
did that a couple like a month last month. Yeah.
That's
Last month
awesome.
in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was a good time, man.
Oh yeah. You
It
probably
was
haven't played those songs live in probably
dude,
20 years.
I haven't played any of those songs in front of people since goddamn, since 1996 or 1997, somewhere around there was the last show that we did
Hmm.
that I actually played those songs in front of people. So it was
Yeah.
I was looking forward to that. That was great,
Oh, of
and
course.
it was fantastic. The show went off without a hitch. It was so much fun. And it wasn't really like a show. It was more like just a party, you
Hmm.
know, to where I was kind of nervous at first, you know, because I hadn't played the songs in front of people in
Right.
so long, and I'd only got like a very small rehearsal with the bands that I was doing them with. And then I was about to go on stage and perform the songs with one of the tribute bands, and I was just hanging out watching them play, and I was just looking around. I was like, there's no real reason to be nervous about this. Everybody's just partying, having a good time, and nobody's gonna condemn me if I make a mistake or something.
Oh no, they have
So,
no right to.
so,
You created it.
so yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It was definitely a carefree situation, and
Yes.
that's how it should be.
It should be like that with everything. Like I feel like there's a lot of like judgment with shows and stuff. It should just be like you're going there to see a jam session. That's how like you're just jamming. If you screw up, it happens.
Yeah, but I'm always my worst critic when it comes to shit like that because I like to play everything absolutely perfect, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. You're a human being. You're not a robot, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And what one question I did want to always ask that I never really got to hear, and I've been checking out your YouTube lives and all that. Has Dax ever checked out a Goatwhore show?
No, he has never come to a Goatwhore show ever. No,
No, it's not his forte.
it's not his thing. You know, he's
No.
not really into the super heavy, crazy shit. You know.
Right. But back to the new album too. Like I've been drumming for almost 18 years, and like by far, I'd say that like Zach, this is like Zach, one of Zach's most powerful uh like work behind the kit on this record by
Oh yeah,
far.
he worked really hard on it. I know that.
Oh yeah, like the blasts and everything. Like I loved like all the other records he was on too because uh what the record before he was nailing it, and that was in like 2016 or 17, right?
Yeah,
And
2017.
yeah, and then with this one, the blasts and everything, I'm like, holy shit, he's killing it, and like they're all pissed off, right? I was like, they're really getting it, like. So yeah, congrats on that album, man. You guys nailed it on this one.
Yeah, me and Zach were talking, you know, when we were messing around with the new songs and some of the really fast stuff. We were like, you know, let's just try to make this the fastest shit that we've done. Like, because we were doing everything to like a click track, and you know, we rehearsed to a metronome,
Right.
and we'd be at a certain speed. And every practice, we'd try to bump up the speed just a little bit more and a little bit more every practice. So we're like, man, let's just try to get it as fast as we possibly can without it sounding like shit, you know?
Yeah. What what song off the new record are you really eager to play live in front of everybody?
All of them.
All of them, every one of
All
them.
of them. Eventually, we're going to play every song of this record live.
So sick. I can't wait.
I mean, probably not all in one show, but eventually over time, every song from this album is going to be thrown in the set lists at some point in time.
Nice. Otherwise, man, what have you been listening to these days?
Same old shit that I always listen to.
Yeah.
Celtic Frost, Bathory, Black Sabbath, Venom, you know, Judas Priest, just all the go-tos. You know,
Yeah.
I'm really bad at you know, catching up with newer bands. You know,
I don't blame you.
there's a bunch of my friends that'll be like, you got to check out this new band and all this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, and I never always forget, and I never get around to it.
I'm the same way. I find hype, and when people are like, "You got to check out this band," it throws me off, and I'm very like, "Yeah, I'll get to it," and then like I'll just be like, "Eh, whatever," and then there's so many bands that I've gotten to that where I'm like, it's too much hype and too much whatever, and
Yeah,
I'm an old soul in a young body. I'm 27, and I'm listening to like anything from Venom to Priest to the first Van Halen record and all the old Sabbath. Like it's just in my blood. It's what I grew up on.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't go wrong with those records, you know.
No.
I mean, there's something about those records. There's like a soul to those records, you know what I'm saying? To where it's like it's kind of missing from a lot of bands nowadays, you know, the where I mean, not to talk bad about the newer bands, there's a lot of great new bands out there,
Yeah.
but those older records just have something that's not captured in a lot of today's bands, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like just products of our environment because like nowadays, you know, you could go and record anything anywhere with anybody. Like I could start a band with a guy in Japan and never meet him and just send him guitar tracks or send me drum tracks, you know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, the spirit of those older records are captured because it was a band jamming as a band while they were writing, you know, rather than it being so fragmented. It's like today, it's, you know, it's a wonderful thing that we can do that nowadays.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that's the spirit lied within like the band being in a room together, all five of them having to record these songs like that. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, you have the drummer come in and do his tracks, and then a week later the guitar player come in and all this stuff, rather than those old records, like they were in a room together
Yeah.
playing the shit. And if one person fucked up, they got to do the whole goddamn thing over again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like almost like today, like the magic's gone. It's like, because I was like, when you put on that first Black Sabbath record and you hear that bell go, shit's about to hit.
Yeah, yeah,
And like,
yeah,
and even like I go back to like the first Down record, that was a jam record. I heard that they just went in there and clicked play, and they all of them were just jamming, and that's how that record was made.
yeah.
And I'm sure Acid Bath, that was the same way.
Yep, exactly.
And
I
that's
mean,
like, that's the magic of it all. And so be it that you can send it to your friends from God knows where you're at and whatever, but that's just the magic of it.
yeah, but it's so hard, nowadays to actually get four or five guys in the same room at the same time to actually get that going.
Yeah.
Especially being in a band nowadays. It's really hard because back then, they had a record company that would throw money at them and be like, okay, go and do this, rather where nowadays, not to talk shit about record companies, but the money is a lot less than it was back then, you know what I'm saying? To where you can't take off of work, five dudes take off of work and go do a record, that's almost impossible nowadays,
It is.
to actually, five dudes in one room jamming, to where it's like you almost have to do it like that nowadays just because of the financial situation. But let's not talk about that bad stuff.
No, 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 no. So when Acid Bath kind of called it a quits when Audie had passed, did you go straight to Crowbar, or did you kind of form Goatwhore in between that and kind of just leave it and then go back to it, or how did that
No,
really go?
Goatwhore was actually going on right before Acid Bat split up. Like it was going on for a while, to where
Oh, okay.
it was just me and a drummer at the time, and we were just messing around. It wasn't
Mhm.
nothing that we were taking real serious. We were just having fun writing music and playing music.
Right.
And I always wanted to do something more extreme. So, I knew Acid Bath had its place, but I always wanted to do something heavier and faster and crazier. And that's kind of, I found a like-minded soul who was the drummer at the time for Goatwhore, and we would just jam and have fun and just write crazy shit. And that was going on during Acid Bath because, there was no crazy weird shit that happened. But then, Audie passed away, and then everything just kind of changed after he passed away.
Yeah.
So we just kind of just it just kind of ended. There was no real big thing to where everybody was like, well, let's stop.
Yeah, you guys just kind of knew
Yeah,
that was it.
yeah,
Yeah, rest in peace to him. He like everybody must have had like a big part in that band for one missing puzzle piece to be like, all right, like he's gone, like the puzzle's no more.
yeah. He definitely had a big part in that writing that music.
Yeah. And it's funny how I figured out Acid Bath. I was at an antique store in my hometown, and I just seen it and I'm like, Acid Bath and John Wayne Gacy, like I'm like, I gotta buy this. I gotta check it out. I like, who knows if I like it. And then I ended up fucking loving it. Went down the rabbit hole, bought the Pagan album, and then I was like, holy shit! I'm like, these guys are on fire. And I was listening to Goatwhore way before that, so I'm like, what the fuck? Sammy's in here. I'm like, oh my god. So
Small world, man.
small world. What's your favorite band from like the New Orleans era?
Oh man, that's hard to pick one, man, because there's so many good ones. I mean, some of my favorites from the New Orleans area, There's a bunch of new bands that are coming out that are great. There's a new band, death metal band called Heraculon that is really, really good. Abysmal Lord is definitely one of my favorites from New Orleans. Morbid Torment is another great one that I
Oh yeah.
like. There's some really good doom bands out here, like Space Cadaver is one of my favorite doom bands from here. There's another one called Mars. They're fantastic. And there's a bunch of punk bands that are here that are great that I love as well. Like the Pallbearers are fantastic. It's just all kind of shit here that a lot of people haven't heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of underground ones, but you know what? Some of those are become like the best ones.
Absolutely.
Like,
Another one that I really like is a black metal band called Mahinit.
okay.
Really good shit. Voodoo inspired black metal. Good
Yeah.
stuff. You check it out.
I will absolutely. Right after this interview. In like literally, I'd say 3 months before COVID, I went and saw it was Sheer Terror, Negative Approach, and they opened up for I Hate God.
Oh wow.
And that was an insane show. That was the first time I saw them. And I just remember I was like like dead close to the stage and I Hate God setting up. And I'm just staring at Jimmy Bauer because like I've seen like so many documentaries and so many interviews with like Down and I Hate God and everything and Super Joint, and he just looks at me and he gives me this fist pump and I'm like, I'm never washing my hand again. This is nuts.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that was an amazing time, man. They put on a hell of a show, as you would know,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, they're probably good buddies with you.
Oh yeah. Very good friends of mine.
Mike Nine's always been a cool guy too. I've everybody.
Yeah, man.
So before Acid Bath, you were in a band. Was it Dark Carnival?
Yes.
Yeah, Dark Carnival. Yeah, is there any way of getting a hold of those demos
We
or anything?
we only recorded 2 songs.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think they're somewhere online somewhere.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta switch deep.
It was more like kind of thrashy stuff.
Okay.
But and then we only got around to recording 2 songs, and I think that's maybe some like live recordings floating around or something. But we
Yeah.
were, it was just we were kids. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like you were probably in your like early mid-20s in Acid Bath, so God only knows how old you were there.
Yeah, right. I was really young back then.
Yeah. Is there any plans for like a new like is it for like a new Ritual Killer, or is that kind of just
No,
done?
that's not happening.
Oh,
It's just everybody. The singer lives in Portland, Oregon now, and the bass player lives in Tennessee. So I highly doubt that anything is ever going to come from that again.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. I loved that record, man. That was a killer one. If there was one album that you were ever a part of and all of your like projects, bands and whatever, one that you could give to somebody that's never heard you and be like, listen to this and this describes me the most, which record would that be?
Well, I'm going to go with the typical answer, and probably I would be like the new Goatwhore record.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, it's what you're living in right now. It's your latest stuff.
Exactly.
And you're it's the soundtrack of like I guess you could say like our plague.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. The soundtrack to the plague. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a good album name, damn.
I'll have to try that.
Oh man. Do you have a favorite Phil Anselmo story?
Not really, because every time I've met Phil or hung out with Phil, it's always been really chill. So nothing really exciting happened. It was
Oh,
just like we just hang out and bullshit about boring shit that nobody really cares about. So I don't really have any exciting favorite stories. It's just every time I hang out with him, talk to him, it's just always the same old shit. Nothing crazy or some exciting story. It's always just me and him, just like, hi, how you been? Oh yeah, been good.
yeah.
All nothing real super exciting.
No, I Were you ever really close with Dimebag?
I met him a couple of times, but
Yeah.
we hung out a few times. I have a good Phil Anselmo story for you. Yes. All right. Now that I think about it, I have a really good one.
Okay.
So there was this thing. It was a haunted house that they had in Louisiana called the House of Shock
Okay.
that Phil Anselmo started a long time ago, and it became this big, huge thing. And he kind of got away from it. But I remember when it was like either the second or third year that they were doing it. It was in a small, little, shitty area. It's like a little homemade haunted house that was just kind of crappy. And we went to it one night. They invited us, like, if you guys want to come by the haunted house, come hang out and check it out. I think it was like me and Dax and Mike had went. It was like before a show that we were playing in New Orleans. So like, oh, yeah, let's go by the haunted house before the show and check it out and see what happens. So we go to the haunted house, and Philip was wearing like this skull mask with like a big cloak on or something like that. You couldn't recognize him, right?
Yeah.
And he jumps out and scares, like, Dax was in front of me. So he jumps out and scares the shit out of Dax. And Dax like jumped back, and then he like grabbed Dax's hand to pull him in to give him like a hug because he recognized Dax. And Dax was still like kind of stunned, and like he headbutted Phil in the nose and broke his nose. And he pulled his mask up and was like, fuck, and he was all bleeding from the nose. I was like, oh shit, man, sorry. So that's a good one for you.
Hey, don't scare the shit out of Dax.
Yeah, Dax accidentally headbutted him in the nose and broke his nose.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. And I got a few more for you. And what's your favorite song to play live?
All of them. I
All of
can't
them.
pick one. I just love
No,
playing live. So any song, if any song I'm available to play live,
you'll do
I
it.
I enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, good, man. What was your favorite, like, do you have a favorite crowbar story?
Oh man, Jesus, I have too many, man. We'll
Oh,
we'll
too
be
many?
here for hours, man, with that shit.
Oh man, because I did hear one that you said or something about you guys made a lot of merch money and Kirk was all wasted and
Yes, that was a funny one because we had played somewhere. I think it was in Cleveland, Ohio, and we had sold a bunch of fucking shirts, and we did really good. And Ben Falgu, who sings for Goatwhore, was actually driving Crowbar. We had rented his van and his trailer for the tour, so he was like, "I'll drive you guys, no worries." So we did it. It was a really good show. Kirk was celebrating because it was a great show, so he had a little bit too much to drink.
hmm
And Ben was in the front seat of the van, and they had an ice chest between the two captain's chairs that were in the driver's side and the passenger side. And the back of the van was basically empty with just a bunch of mattresses, so we could just lay down and sleep in there. So the ice chest, Ben had like this ridiculous amount of money, counting this money on top of the ice chest. And the ice chest was full of beer. And Kirk comes in the van and was like, I need a beer. And he was like, yeah, we'll get you a beer as soon as we count all this money.
Yeah.
And Kirk kept going on. Well, motherfucker, give me a fucking beer. And Ben was like, just be patient, because we have a lot of money that we need to count, and we have nowhere else to count it. So we use the ice chest to count the money. And Kirk just kept getting more and more agitated about wanting a beer so bad. Then finally he was like, "You'll give me a beer right now, motherfucker, I'll kick your fucking ass." And Ben was like, "All right, go outside." So Kirk fucking storms out of the van, slams the door, goes outside, and Ben locks all the doors to the van. And it's like, "Fuck you, bitch." And Kirk's like beating on the door, like, "Come outside, motherfucker." And Ben's like has his hand on the fucking lock, going like, "Fuck off, you fucking locked out of the van." It was just funny. And
Oh,
eventually Kirk got the beer.
of course. Yeah. What's your favorite axe that's hanging up right now?
Oh man, there's too many.
Too
I love
many
them all.
again.
I love them all. I love them all for different reasons, you know.
Yeah.
And it's always a problem, you know, because I only usually take two guitars out with me on tour.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, man, what the fuck am I gonna take with me? I'm gonna take this one. I don't know. I don't want to take this one. This one's too nice, but it sounds really good. It plays really good. Maybe I should take it. It's always, you know, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's like picking children. You can't pick which
Yeah,
one's your favorite.
exactly. But you know, there's normally like five of them that I rotate that I take on tour with me because they've already been beaten up, you know what I'm saying? And I don't
Yeah.
have some really nice ones that are really good condition. I'm afraid if I take them out, it's going to get dinged or scratched or stolen or broken. You know, so there's five of them that if something happens to them, I won't be completely devastated.
Hmm. Did Now I'm seeing you got a lot of Sam Hain.
Yes.
Like, did you ever get to meet Danzig at all?
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah,
Yes. We actually did it. I think it was like 2017, maybe. We did the Sam Hain did a reunion tour. It was 5 shows,
that's right.
and we did the 5 shows with Sam Hain. So that was pretty awesome. So
That's awesome.
I got to meet him on that. So that was fucking cool, you know.
Oh yeah, because Sam Hain only had a little run too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, man, that's it for this. Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, always, man, always. Can't wait. Hopefully, I get to see Goatwhore soon.
I have a
Going to
feeling you
Canada.
will. I
Yeah.
have a feeling you will, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Next year, eh?
Yes, sir. You know it.
All right. Take care, Sammy. Thank you for taking your time, and have a good rest of your day, man.
You too, man.
All right. Take care.
Late.